everybody? Welcome to the UJ Sports Live reaction show. We've got just basically myself right now. I think we're going to have a couple guys join us later on the show. If not, hey, screw those guys. We don't need them. They're busy working, covering five-star commits everywhere. I'm the boss. I get to sit around and drink whiskey all day and take credit for all their hard work. That's exactly what I want to do today. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Give me a thumbs up if you like the sound, if everything's okay. But I really want to see your comments. I want to see y'all roll that beautiful bean footage. Yes, sir. Brent Whammer. Hey, Arlen Block. Glad you're with us. Top Dog. Top Dog. Be nice. Be nice, Top Dog. Keith Goldman's with us. He has the rich do get richer. Basically, I just want to join you folks. Hey, Georgia's picked up another five-star commit. Second one in 24 hours. I had a nice Thursday plan. It's going to be nice and light. Going to get some work done. I had some billing to do. It's going to run payroll. Actually, pay a couple guys on staff. Not many of them, just a couple. The guys who've been good this week, they get paid. Nobody else does. That's all been pushing the back burner to speak. Cousin Eddie with a very good, very appropriate comment there about the Gators. We appreciate that. Damien Cox tuning in from Anderson, South Carolina. I was just in Anderson, South Carolina. I took Coach Donovan over there. He gave a speech to the Bulldog Club, to the quarterback club over there. I guess the quarterback club. There was a luncheon. They basically do the player of the week. So they had a lot of kids out there. Got to see Boog, my boy Boog. He was out there. So, hey, Joshua Simmons, appreciate you joining in. Man. Anyway. Let's talk a little bit about all the different stuff that's going on right now. I don't say it's out of the blue. We kind of expected this, but yesterday, Georgia got Mykel Williams, the guy that's been committed to USC. I went on the Dog Vault on October 4th and said, hey, we cannot put in flip predictions in our future forecast. You know, we can do a future cast for a kid where he's going to go when he's uncommitted, but once he's committed, there's not a thing to say, hey, he's going to flip. Now that's coming. It's coming. So stay tuned. But I basically told everybody I'm putting in my call right now that Mykel Williams will join this Georgia class of 2022 recruiting group. He's going to flip. And I was told by Focus Side UGA, they knew he was going to flip, but he didn't know he was going to flip. They're like, we are not letting this kid leave. Georgia was going to do everything they could to make sure that Mykel Williams did not leave the state of Georgia. He's a huge target. He's in Del McGee's area. He wants to play for Dan Lanning. I think a lot of it helped is they started talking to him about, being an outside linebacker, kind of stand-up guy, being an Azeez Ojulari type instead of a hand in the dirt, Jalen Carter style, Trayvon Walker style. They wanted him to be more of a pass rusher. He liked that idea. Now, don't get me wrong. He loved the idea of playing at Southern Cal, the lights, the glamour, all that fun stuff. But he, once Georgia changed up their pitch to him, this is a guy who immediately, after that official visit, you knew something was coming. So we had, notice we had stories ready and graphics all over the place. We were expecting that one, but we just didn't know when. He pulled the trigger. Mykel Williams is now going to be a Bulldog. That's huge. And we are see Damien Cox saying, who's next? Christian Miller. I know he couldn't make it. I think if my recruiting guys were here, I'd say, hey, start writing a story about Christian Miller, just in case. Just be ready. That is a guy who, at one point, guys, Christian Miller was not hearing from Georgia, and he's like, yeah, they don't talk to me. Okay. And then started checking around UGA, and they're like, yeah, we do. But I think it was a situation where what Christian Miller was saying, he didn't hear from Georgia. It was, hey, Augusta. He meant, I'm not hearing from Kirby Smart. I'm not hearing from Dan Lanning. He's hearing from people, I don't say further down the totem pole, but people lower on the hierarchy, the recruiting office folks, some of the other coaches. But he wanted to hear from the big man himself. And, I think Christian Miller will probably join this class. I don't know that off the top of my head. That's not one of those things that we kind of dance around. We're like, oh yeah, we really know, and we kind of say it to sound smart later on. Like, oh yeah, I think this guy's going to join it. When we know good and damn well that he's already given us the quotes and the story and graphics, and we shot a video and all that stuff. This isn't one of those BS things. Christian Miller has not told us any of that stuff, but I fully expect him to jump in there. Let's grab a couple questions here. Please put your questions in the comment section and share this. It would mean a lot to us. We're I think we're at like 18,000 subscribers on YouTube, but I want to get to 20. So help us out. And if you can get Jaheim Singletary to 20,000 followers on Instagram, he'll commit somewhere. I don't know where. I think I know where, but I really don't know where. Mark Anthony says, do you think this has anything to do with the class getting full and guys trying to hold a spot just in case? Specifically, think Bear might flip A&M closer to signing day and he's just holding a spot. No. Now, Mark Anthony brings up a great thing. We had an exclusive interview with Bear Alexander yesterday. Our man Ryan Wright went down and saw him at IMG, and he says, yeah, I'm going to sign on December 15th. I will announce in January, at the Under Armour All-American game. Okay. And 24 hours later, he's a dog. So, and he was asked, when will you know what's going to do it? He's like, I'll know when I know. I'll know when I decide. So, I think there's a lot of momentum with Georgia recruiting right now. There's a lot of momentum with Georgia. I mean, they're number one in the AP polls for the first time since 1983. They've been number one in other polls and stuff like that, and playoffs and such, but they're number one now. So that has a lot to do with it. Texas A&M, you did beat Alabama. You thought that would kind of make Bear want to go there. Texas school beating Alabama. Texas A&M has a lot of momentum, but Georgia does too. Remember, he was committed to Georgia first. He was committed to Georgia for a long time. He's big friends with Gunnar Stockton. He's a big friend with all these other guys on the squad. They've been recruiting the hell out of him. He came for a visit, saw Georgia blanket at Arkansas squad, I believe it was. He's like, I could do that. He's seeing all the NFL projections for guys that are on Georgia's squad now. Devontae Wyatt getting NFL looks. Jordan Davis, we know, is going to go high in the draft. Jalen Carter is going to go high in the draft. Hell, both those guys might go in the first round, maybe top 15. Definitely Jalen Carter. He's seeing all that, and he's like, Trey, and he loves Trey Scott. Trey Scott came within a gnat's whisker of signing Mason Smith before he went to LSU. Trey Scott has been quite a hell of a recruiter. I know everybody was worried about him when he first started, but he has been fantastic. So, point being, this is a guy who was leaning towards Georgia, then he's leaning towards Texas. He decommitted to go to Texas A&M. Yeah, I remember when he was committed to Georgia, he's like, 1,000%, and nobody can do anything to get me done to decommit. Well, somebody did, but I just don't think. I think he still always kind of fell in love with Georgia. I don't think he's reserving a spot. Both schools, to answer your question, would hold a spot open for Bear Alexander. So no, he's not trying to save a spot there. The sports events asked us, Mykel and Tyree being committed, almost locking their buddy Christian Miller. Yes, these guys all trained together. So getting Kel Williams and Tyree West, two huge guys on the defensive front. Does that make Christian Miller want to play with him? And now Bear Alexander? Yeah, I think it does. I'm not saying it's not certainty, but it could definitely happen. Yeah. I think Brett brings up a good point. I think we knew when he was hunting out with Gunnar at the lake. So, yeah, Bear Alexander came to Georgia out of the blue. I don't think Georgia could host visitors at that time, or maybe they could, but he didn't go by, or says he didn't go by. But he came from Texas to Georgia to go hang out at the lake with Gunnar Watson. Gunnar Stockton, excuse me, the Georgia quarterback commit in this class. They're good buddies. Probably did some fishing, did some boating, so he knows the big deal. John Quick says, "Beat Florida, go Dogs." Yeah, that's everyone always wants to beat Florida. I get that. That's fair. You notice I'll have the team rankings up right now, showing that Georgia is the number one class by a good bit in the recruiting rankings. You'll notice the number of 5 stars that Bulldogs have. Nobody else has anything close. And they just barely missed on landing another 5-star this week. Luther Burden was torn between the two. He came pretty close. Georgia thought they were going to get him. They absolutely did. But think about it, that could be 6 right now. Then you've got Jaheim Singletary out there somewhere. I mean, he could be making a commitment. That's another 5-star guy. Georgia's looking to, Shamar James, a huge target, just decommitted from Florida. Wouldn't that just be the ultimate kick in the nuts to the Gators for Shamar James decommit from them, and then later, before Georgia plays the the Gators in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Shamar James flips to Georgia. I mean, technically, if you decommit, it's not a flip, but to me, it's a flip. If it's less than 3 days, it's less than a week, especially if you just visited Georgia and you decommit right after that, and then you commit to the team that you just visit, it's a flip. Call it what it is, folks. Toyin Glover, I apologize if I said that wrong, but any idea on the number of recruits are going to be able to take in this class? Hell no. I do not. I'll tell you guys what I know, and I tell you guys what I don't know, and I have no bloody idea how many guys they can take in this class because they've added some new exemptions and stuff like that. And we had Mac Brown on our show, and Mac was like, look, there's going to be a problem with these super seniors and everybody who's last year did not count towards their eligibility. You could have guys who are, fourth, fifth year guys who decide to stick around a year, maybe try to get a master's, maybe stay in class one more year, get one more year play to try to prep themselves for the NFL. But if you're only limited to 85 scholarship guys and you try to bring in a signing class of 25 guys, but you don't have 25 guys leave through graduation, portal, stuff like that, now all of a sudden you can't take 25 freshmen. You have to take 15, 12, 10. He was talking about some really, really small classes because you're just going to create a logjam with that extra year of eligibility. But the NCAA has made some moves. A lot of it has to do with transfer stuff. We were looking into it the other day, and basically I threw up my hands and said, I'm going to call somebody at UGA and find out what's going on. Then we'll put out a story. So Glover just put up with me being a moron, not knowing what the hell's going on. I apologize. I just don't get it. It's that's another good question from Mark Anthony. Who do you think the biggest name might have room for out there? Is there anybody that would take a commit right now, would commit to UGA right now if they take it? I don't want to answer that. And not in a mean way. It's just if you put out there that a kid wants to commit to Georgia and Georgia's not taking it, it makes the kid look bad. It's just ask me that question after signing day. And then we'll say, hey, this kid that, you kind of pulled your hair out that, you thought Georgia wanted and Georgia didn't get him. Another school landed him. And then you find out that he wasn't a take at Georgia. That's that. And sometimes we will kind of leak that when a kid goes a different way. We're like, yeah, we're not sure he was a take, because we were told, hey, he's not a take. But I just don't want to bang on that. Right now, they've got pretty good spots. They need a top wide receiver. They definitely want some defensive backs, areas of need. But when you see a guy that you're like, man, didn't Georgia fight tooth and nail for this guy? And then he wound up going to Arkansas or Texas A&M or Clemson or something like that. You're like, or Penn State. They didn't fight as hard as you might think. So I don't want to throw a kid under the bus. And hell, what if a guy decommits and that the guy who you didn't have room for him before, now you have room for him. And he's been publicly blasted as, he wants to commit to Georgia and Georgia won't take him right now. Then they take him later. People think, oh, well, he was a backup plan. It's not fair to the kid. So I don't want to be that jerk. Rook Vang makes a good point. We talked about Luther Burden, the 5-star wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver in the country, was down to Georgia and Missouri. He decided at the last second there, we got Eddie from Ackworth. We're about to let him join. He decided that he wanted to stay close to home and that he said it was a family decision. So that's a good point. And folks, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can grab the link there and you can join in the show. And I'm going to bring in right now Eddie from Ackworth. So let me unmute Eddie. Well, he will have to unmute himself. Eddie, are you there, sir?
I am. How are you, Roddy?
There it is. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for joining me, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thanks for hosting. Appreciate it.
No problem. Hey, you can turn your camera on and we can see your man cave if you want.
Nah. I'll just leave it like this. That's okay.
No, I just tease you. Hey, we should do that, though, for like the post-game shows. People that are actually out at tailgates and stuff like that, or people calling from the house. Hell, it's great. Look, turn your camera on, pan it around the room, show us everything. But, yeah, give me your thoughts, Scotty.
Well, I was just curious, and I just logged on, so you may have commented on this, but why did Bear decommit, then commit again to the same school? It just seems weird. I know kids are young and they make weird decisions and do that. That just just seems so strange to me the way he did that.
Yeah, that's. Can I ask you a personal question, Eddie?
Sure.
Are you married?
Yes.
Okay. You're married. Congratulations. Yeah. I am too.
29 years, my friend.
How many?
29.
Wow, that's fantastic. Man, that's awesome. That's right. I'm in that same realm there. I don't remember the exact number of years. I don't want to get in trouble. But let's say you and I are about the same age, it sounds like, or at least got married about the same time. We go to the beach and a hot girl walks by in a bikini and she kind of looks over at you, gives you the eye. You're like, yeah, I'm not looking. But you notice that she noticed you. And you just go by about your day. But the rest of the day, you're like, hell yeah, I still got it. It's kind of the same thing with recruiting. So if you are Bear Alexander, we got him ranked number 10 in the nation. We've had him, we may have had him higher than that. You have a guy that up there, he committed pretty early. And all these other schools like, look, you didn't give us a chance to host you on campus. You didn't give us a chance to give you our best sales pitch. You didn't give us a chance to show you around our stadium. We got this new facility. We got these new, I don't want to say new co-eds, but we got new hostesses you need to come see. You got to come see all our stuff. Just give us a chance. And he's like, yeah, I'll come out there. But they said, well, but we really, to host you, we only have 56 official visits, and we want you to come on official visits. So really, we want to make sure you're not just kind of using us. He's like, okay, he decommits, goes, sees a bunch of schools, visits the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Arkansas, the Texans, wherever he's gone. I haven't even followed all his visits, but that's part of it. Then, at the end of the day, he's like, oh, that was all nice, but why did he commit to Georgia? Those reasons for why he committed are still there. And they're on steroids, Eddie, because, hell, Georgia's now number one. That defense has given up, let me do some quick math, 46 points. 46 points in the whole damn season, 7 games. And he's like, and people are talking about Jordan Davis for Heisman. He's like, well, I want to hear Bear Alexander for Heisman. He's got his own, logo and stuff. So the reasons haven't changed. They've only gotten stronger. Texas A&M, which kind of looked on that high trajectory early, had some losses. Yes, they beat Alabama, but Alabama's not as good as they were. And I think that he was basically just it's like that meme of a guy walking with his girlfriend. And he looks back over his shoulder. I think Bear looked over his shoulder for a while and is now back with his girlfriend, and she don't mind. She's okay with it because he's still with her, and that's the way.
Was he at the Kentucky game and the Arkansas game, or just one of those? Do you know?
I tell you what, I do not, but I will. Let me bring on Jed May there. Stay on the line, Eddie, and we'll bring on Jed. Hey, Jed, how many times did Bear Alexander visit?
Well, he went to the Clemson game as a guest of Georgia, and then he was at the Arkansas game. So didn't see him at the Kentucky game, but he's seen the defense twice in person, but once in Athens.
Wait, that was 2 top 10 teams, right? And Corey, we'll get to you in a second. And he saw Georgia give up 3 points.
3 points. Saw Georgia's defense give up 3 points and score technically 14 points if you count the block punt.
Well, he also got an incredibly electric atmosphere too. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It was sideways. I'm sure you were there. It was just
I was.
And we appreciate how you always support us. That sort of fan base, and people holding up signs for him, and people see the whole "We Want Arch" thing. It's like, wow, these people are into it. And it's not to say he didn't see. Likewise, at Texas A&M, that place was off the hook when it came to them beating Alabama. It was nuts, but it's not like they had something better than Georgia did. So it's like facilities, coaching, and again, he loves Trey Scott. He absolutely does. So that's
one quick thing I got to share with you guys real quick. We went to the dog walk. My main motivation was for myself, my wife, and my kid to see Jordan Davis in person, right? Just to see how big the guy is. And there's a lady in front of us holding up a sign that says Jordan for Heisman, and a cop comes over and says, he's going to come over here and hug you for that sign. He loves that kind of stuff. And he did. And he was right in front of us, and he fist bumped me. And I'm telling you guys, well, you guys know, he is an apartment. That guy is unbelievable.
I love it. He's an apartment. Yeah, he's a big boy.
With a big old smile on his face.
He is. And you can talk about the Kobe Deans of the world at Georgia. You can talk about, the Kendall Milton, the Stetson Bennett's, Samir White's, Justin Schaefer's. I hate it sounds corny, and so I hate to say it, but Georgia has some damn good kids on this team. I say kids; these are grown men. But I am a proponent of you need to have a thug or two. You need to have a just kind of a jerk, just a mean guy. You need to have a bruiser, an enforcer. What do they call them in hockey, Jib? The guys that go out and just beat the hell out of people.
The enforcer guys, the goons.
Goons.
Those kind of guys. There you go.
God, you need a few goons to play top caliber football. Don't really have any on this team. It's a bunch of good kids, And don't get me wrong, Georgia's had its fair share of goons, and I'll point them out. I got no problem with it. But the persona that you see with these guys is legit. It is real. So
that's such a good point, Roddy, because I've watched so many interviews of these kids this year. And every one of them, when I watch the interview, I just fall more in love with them. You're so right. I know Kirby does that carefully, and he only lets so many people speak to the media, right? But just the kids that we've seen, Kobe Dean, Channing Tindall, it's just amazing how polished they are and how really great kids they seem to be.
Yeah, if you don't love Channing Tindall, then you're just a bad human being. I'm just telling you. And again, a lot of that does come from media polish. They give some canned answers, but a lot of that stuff is legit. And I'm telling you, if this team doesn't win the title, I hope people still love this team as much as they deserve. But if they do, no kid on this team should ever buy lunch again. No matter where he goes. And everyone better get a damn good job from you people that have businesses out there. You take care of these guys because they get you that title. And they are productive. They go through hell every week that they're able to join, to be part of that team. But even as a third string walk on, long snapper, that guy needs to be taken care of because this is a good squad. Hey, Eddie, we're going to let you go. We're going to bring on Corey.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Hey, thank you, man. Hey, don't hesitate. We love doing this. This is kind of a new thing for us. We want to have people join us all the time. So we definitely want you in it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
appreciate
Eddie.
it, boys.
Amen. Hey, Corey, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me good?
Corey. Absolutely. So, Corey, what's on your mind?
This is awesome. This is actually awesome.
Well, you were on the show, brother.
So, sticking with the recruiting, I just find it a little frustrating, right?
Okay.
We get to see 5-star defense all day long. I mean, any position you want, we get, right? Offensive line, 5-star, not a problem. Running back, 5-star. We've brought in 4 or 5 5-star quarterbacks over the last 4 years or so.
I think it's like 73 5-star quarterbacks. I can't keep my math may be a little off, and Jed may have to correct me, but it's been about 1 million. Yeah.
The receivers. Now, granted, we don't throw the ball that much. But geez, George Pickens, our last 5-star. I think Dom was a high-rated 4.
He was a high-rated 4, correct? Yes, sir.
So is it just quarterback play that gets us the receiver? Is it the play call that gets us the receiver, or is it just dumb luck?
I'll take the last one there. Dumb luck is my thought, mainly because if you'd had a George Pickens not get injured twice now, right, and that is a guy who brings other people. And I say that because what has brought all those Kirby Smart hires Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman he shows how successful he is getting guys in the NFL. He's able to bring in some offensive linemen. You have 2 offensive linemen going the first round, a huge feat. Now, if you're Ernest Green, you're a Lou Ba, you are any of those guys, you're like,
see the potential. Okay.
Yeah, I'm Bo Hewley. Okay, I want to go. You see, when it comes to running backs, you're watching Nick Chubb tear it up in the NFL. You're watching all those guys just kill it in the NFL. Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift. Hell, go back to Todd Gurley.
Right.
Okay, I want to go. So you can one of those again. What they want to see are who are you putting into the NFL? Georgia couldn't get defensive linemen to save its life. They couldn't get anything. Okay, the top defensive linemen weren't going there. They're all going to like Clemson, Alabama, because Georgia the last defensive lineman to be drafted high is Pollock or something like that. Just not a ton of those. So you wind up getting a 4-star on our rankings, 3-star elsewhere, and Jordan Davis, who's blowing up, and everyone knows he's going to the NFL. Trey Scott's really out there recruiting, and now all of a sudden you're getting defensive linemen based on that. but you just haven't had a top wide receiver. Although Georgia's putting this last group, they put in a bunch of wide receivers into the NFL, but you just don't have that Devontae Smith, who is committed to Georgia and goes to Alabama. You just don't have that big name.
Right, that top tier talent.
Right. So if you could get a guy like that, show, a first round or something like that, they'll go there. Plus, there's also the mindset that, well, Georgia does have all those 5-star tailbacks,
Right.
So you've got everything but the track record of putting guys in the NFL. That's why it gets frustrating, because you're like, look, the kids come it, they love it, they talk about it. And then at the last second, they go, well, I'm going to go to that spread offense over there.
Yeah.
But it hasn't hurt your tight ends.
No. Yeah, and that's looking impressive. So my last thought is a little futuristic.
Okay.
But you guys touched on it earlier with, I think you called it a traffic jam in terms of people not leaving, right? JT hasn't played I think they said 9 quarters this year altogether.
Yeah, he has not played a whole lot.
Even with a national championship, if the look isn't there, could you see JT and or Stetson coming back another year? And if so, what does that do for the door that we just opened for, Brock and then Gunner and the guy we got right now that's third string. So I just want to hear your thoughts on it. Like,
all right, Jed, you want to take that?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's really interesting. I mean, everyone's kind of circling that Florida game to see, presuming JT Daniels is healthy by then, like who is going to be the guy that actually ends up starting. And I think that decision, it's going to have impacts for next year. Like you said, okay, if it sets in the rest of the year, does JT Daniels come back here to prove to NFL scouts and whoever that he's got the talent? Does he transfer somewhere else for 1 year, and then that trickles, okay, if he stays, does Carson Beck transfer? Does Brock Vandagriff transfer? Like, there's so many questions that it's funny because the season ends. Say Georgia plays the national championship. The season ends on January 10th or whatever, and then as soon as that ends, everyone's going to be on quarterback watch. Who stays? Who goes?
Absolutely.
Kind of stuff, so, yeah.
Corey's going to be down front.
Yep, right down there, just trying to figure it out. Because just from a power standpoint, right?
Yeah.
The kid Brock looks like Matt Stafford on Jumbo, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see. Okay, now we got a big arm. Now I won't underthrow you as much as I've been seeing it. I'm not going to complain because they've been completing.
That's what you're doing.
No, because they've been completing them. They're completing them, right? But I just think with that big arm, there's a difference between 45-yard completion and 62-yard touchdown. Like, it's the same pass, like same play, but when you're able to let him run and actually go get it, he has now that opportunity to finish the big play as opposed to just having a big downfield completion. But now we got to go back on offense.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate, Corey, because you've followed me enough to know this. Has that been an issue this year? Passes not being long enough.
Again, they've been completed.
Well, the reason I do that is because I want to tell y'all an inside practice story. Okay.
Okay.
Jed, you're gonna have to help me remember which game it was that they threw a long pass, and I think it was Ladarius McGhee had to slow down to catch it, or
it was. That's what I was just thinking. It was Auburn. The first one to McConkey down the sideline against Auburn.
Okay.
Yep.
And he slows down, right? And then later on, did he hit the same guy for the long pass, or was that?
Yep. It was McConkey.
Okay. And that was in stride.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Like, this was a story told to me by somebody I trust. And folks, please keep sharing your comments. Let us know where you're at. And put any questions over there. We'll get to them while we're talking with Corey, because he's a fantastic guest, just like Eddie was. In practice, Stetson Bennett was overthrowing guys. He's just humming them out there. He's got a strong arm. People don't realize. I mean, he can overthrow guys. He's done it. Hell, they did it at Florida when he had a busted shoulder. Okay, he's overthrowing it. Kirby Smart tells him, Stetson, take something off of it. you got to give him a chance to catch the ball. And I'm sure he used a bunch of other words in there.
Other words.
Just, okay. Because if you've ever been on Millage and you hear Kirby, he has this microphone thing on, and it goes to the loudspeaker so he can talk to everybody on the field at once. And he's overthrowing guys and basically tells them to take a little heat off that throw. I guess, when you're used to throwing like Arian Smith, you can just throw it as far as you can. It's going
out there, right?
Right. And Lad's fast, and he's good, but maybe he's not quite Jermaine Burton fast. Maybe he's faster. I don't know. But you'll notice on that first throw, it hung up a little bit. He took a little off of it.
Gotcha.
And he realizes the guy had to slow down. Then on the next line, he was like, look, you're fast enough. And he just throws it like he wants to, and the kid runs underneath and catches it. So again, it's not an arm strength. That was a coaching. I don't say coaching issue, but that's where he was doing what the coaches told him to. So
understood.
And I don't want to get on the whole Stetson versus. It's just when
that actually hums up a lot for me.
Yeah, when you find out how some of these guys, some stories like that. Again, maybe he underthrew it. Maybe he could have bombed it, but we know that happened in practice. So when we hear these little things like that, it helps give guys, helps give me and you folks like that a little bit more about why the coaches do what they do, So,
and I'm gonna be honest before you let me go. I wasn't solely talking about Stetson.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's go back to how many times did a certain quarterback get credit for a back shoulder throw that was just underthrown?
There you go.
I'm not saying it. I'm just pointing out, sometimes it's like, oh, that's a great back shoulder throw that you didn't have the arm to get down there. And here's the thing. We'll get this question a lot. You bring up a good point. And I'll ask Jed, and we'll let you go on this one, Corey. Where does Georgia go? You've got a couple quarterbacks, and people say, well, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. I'm not worried about that. But what does Georgia need to do, Corey, in your opinion, to really appeal to these wide receivers? You missed on Luther Burden. Do you get Shaz Preston? Do you get Andre Green? Who are you going after? What do you think Georgia needs to do to show them, hey, come here, we got you?
Honestly, I think Monken's doing a great job. I do think that we need to highlight, specify. We need to demonstrate, hey, this is our playmaker. Like right now, if that's Brock, I need Brock 14 attempts. in a sense of, okay, because even if you look at the Kentucky game, what the guy have 12 catches for 36 yards?
Yeah.
But Kentucky was hell-bent, pardon my French, on, hey, this is our playmaker. He got to get touches. We're not spreading the ball around. We're not, okay, even if we're taking what the defense giving us, we're going to make sure that guy is in a position that's open. So if you are giving us something, we could take advantage. So I want to see more of a direct, hey, highlight, target. This is our playmaker, and stop him.
Hey, I agree. That's a great point, Corey. I appreciate it. Hey, we're gonna let you go here. Thanks so much for joining us for the call, man. And again, we do this post games too, so we want you to jump on the post game shows as well.
Hey, this is awesome. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your day.
All right, and I agree with Llama there. Says Corey is an awesome guest call. He absolutely is, and Llama, we appreciate that. Your thoughts, Jed? How the hell does Georgia appeal to? Well, first from that question, how does Georgia appeal to these wide receivers, these top wide receivers, and then who are they looking at? I mean, you're a recruiting guy. You have to have like 47 answers for me.
Yeah, number one, I think Corey's spot. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say, because the offense as a whole, right, is more open, but there's still not those guys that are putting up, like Corey said, 12, 15 catches for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know Brock Bowers, he had a 100-yard game the other day, but he still only had, 4 or 5 catches, I think. Which, it's good and bad, right? Because if you have that one guy, you can do like Georgia did the other day and limit Wan'Dale Robinson, right? But there's – and I don't know, like I think that maybe appeals to the kid or depends on the kid too. Like if there's a kid saying, okay, I want to go to a place just where the offense is open and my big plays will come, then you get that kind of kid. If you want a guy that's, okay, I want those 15 targets a game, then, maybe they look elsewhere. I mean, look at Luther Burden on Missouri. I don't know Luther Burden. I've never talked to him, but he's going to be a guy that's going to go to Missouri. He's going to be the big man on campus, and I'm sure he's going to get fed those targets next year just because of, he's probably the biggest recruit Eli Drinkwitz has pulled in there. So, I think it depends on the kid. Speaking of kids, you look at Shaz Preston from Louisiana, Georgia's looking at. He's supposed to be coming to Athens for a game this fall at some point in November. Obviously, Louisiana kids, you always think about LSU, but with everything that's going on there and all the Coach O stuff, and I won't get into that, but that helps. That only helps.
Come on, we can have a hell of a show there. Hey, let's bring Dane in to talk Coach O and some of his hitting on pregnant ladies who you probably shouldn't talk to.
Coach or Dane and his bourbon. Let's get on the Coach O train.
I can't be doing the bourbon at 2:40 on a Thursday.
Oh, I can.
Okay.
Oh, no, better not.
I mainly popped in because I was afraid that Corey and Eddie were going to come take my job with the quality of content.
Those guys are good. Wow, they really are.
We should be worried, Jed.
I'm already worried.
I think all we need to do is just pop this on the dog vent, put up the link, and just let the fans talk to each other, and we'll sit there take notes because they had some good stuff. They really did. So I appreciate that from both of them. They're fantastic guests. So. I agree with you, Jed, there about, when we were looking at Kentucky, they had the leading wide receiver in the country or in the SEC and the leading running back, Dane. But again, it was all funneled into one guy. So, Georgia right now, and I look at it defensively, you've had 7 games, you've had 7 different guys lead the team in tackles. There are some big names on that defense, but it's not one guy, getting all the attention. They're all doing it. And I think you're seeing the same thing when it comes to the running back room. I think Zeus and Zamir White, Kendall Milton, Kenny McIntosh would start for just about every team in the SEC.
Go further. It's Dejan Edwards too. I mean, he would play for a lot of teams.
He'd play for, I don't know if he'd start. He might. Hell, I'm sure. Well, there's probably 3 or 4 teams he'd start for right off the bat. But point being, they split up those reps. Same when it comes to wide receivers. You see guys, 9 different guys catching passes from this team. Whereas with South Carolina, they had Van. Okay, Darren Kendrick, go get on Van. He might burn you a couple times, but you're not going to be able to win the game that way. Same with Kentucky. Hey, let's put one person on Robinson. Let's bracket him. That takes away that capability. Let's put a spy on the quarterback if he's a runner. Okay, now how the hell are you going to score 40 points on this team right now?
So, I mean, Georgia does have greater depth at certain positions than it's had in a while. And, one thing we're talking about too is how the defensive line has transformed. Go back to Kirby Smart's opening news conference when he got hired, the position groups that he talked about. He said, we have to get bigger on the offensive line. 2 years, check, done. Okay, cool. Move on to the next thing. Secondary, need to get, faster and longer. Okay, done that too. Next up, defensive line. Receiver, maybe that's still the work in progress, as Corey was talking about. But one thing I'll say about receiver, you're seeing a lot of really talented and experienced SEC players that are struggling to get playing time post-injury because the person that had filled in for them played so well. And some of that's unexpected, but how do you keep Lad McConkey off of the field right now? Because he's catching everything that's thrown to him. Does he have the size that some of these other guys have? Probably not. Does he have, maybe size that NFL scouts would want? I don't really care other than the fact that he's pushing around guys that are 40 pounds heavier than him in blocking. That's a big deal at Georgia. And so he's going to get playing time. If everyone on the receiving core was healthy based on what I've seen, George Pickens, Lad McConkey, and then you pick the third one, and I'd feel good about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I guess you bring back George Pickens. That's the only way to get Lad McConkey off the field.
Well, the thing about Lad, too, is his biggest game was against Auburn when Kirby Smart said, right, he was playing out of position. He'd been playing the slot. And then with the guys hurt, he moved out to, I forget if he said X or Z, but playing on the outside. And he burns Auburn for how many deep passes. So it's one of those things where size maybe doesn't matter out there. It matters in a lot of ways in life, but
my wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe
no. She agrees with your assessment of football. What?
Like Tyler Lockett for the Seahawks. He's not that tall. I don't think. Not every great receiver is DK Metcalf size. So Who knows? Maybe that's Ladd McConkey's home out there.
Well, and you're seeing in play calling, they're finding ways to get him the ball too, whether it be the sweeps or he's gotten a couple of the screens. And you combine that with the way that like Brock Bowers has played, and I think that's you can't keep Bowers off the field, you can't keep Darnell Washington off the field, you can't keep McConkey off the field. If Pickens comes back, you can't keep him off the field. Well, there's 4 playmakers, and you haven't discussed running backs. I mean, it's for people like Georgia's offense. I think some people still think it leaves some things to be desired. But if you look around college football, there's not a whole lot of playmakers out there that are just lighting it up. I mean, this has been a defensive-led year. And then outside of 2 performances from Caleb Williams, we can't decide who's had a Heisman-worthy performance.
Jordan Davis. That's my.
I disagree
he plays
with that
9
one,
snaps one game. You know,
I don't think he plays enough snaps. But like,
no, you're right. I know. I'm just, and I'm. It's.
He deserves every defensive award that you can give him.
Yeah.
Start throwing on some passes. Maybe we'll get the Biletnikoff.
Yeah, I'm with that. Speaking of, let's go back to size real quick. We started talking about the show about this reaction to Dawgs landing 2 5-stars. Jed, I was telling the folks before you jumped on, hey, we knew that something was coming with Mykel Williams. I told everybody on October 4th that if I could put in a flip in our FutureCast thing, that I'd say he's coming to Georgia. I told people thanks to all the people that are just joining us, I said, look, Mykel Williams, I heard from inside UGA, that kid's coming to Georgia. He just doesn't know it yet. He's in the Columbus area. Dane used to work down there. Dane knows how strong Del McGhee is when it comes to recruiting that area. That kid, and again, this is not a shot against him. He loved Southern Cal, fell in love with it, but Georgia, by hook or crook, was not going to let that kid leave the state. And so he pops yesterday. We were prepared for it. We had stories, we had graphics, you had Coach's Corner. You went to see him. I don't think anybody else went to see him. You actually were on the road. Went down. I'm saying since his last visit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you had the update. What, maybe 24 hours prior to that, before he announced it. Then we had 24 hours ago. We had a story with Bear Alexander. We didn't know Bear was going to announce because he said, "Hey, I'll sign on December 15th, and then announce it in January. I'm supposed to have a nice leisurely day here on a Thursday. Nothing, late lunch, a couple 3 bourbon lunch, and count up all the money you guys make me." And
I would have thought Roddy was
kid
on vacation the way that this week is going.
I was on Monday, and you got a Lou Ba. I should have taken the whole damn week off.
Well,
you guys had it
Jed,
covered.
I want to bring this up to you though, because look at some of the pulls that Georgia's gotten out of state in recent years. George Pickens, number 1 receiver from Alabama, from Hoover of all places, which is like an Auburn and Alabama pipeline. Now you're plucking this out of Texas. Getting Cedric Van Pran from Louisiana is one of the hardest things you can do in that state. And I know he's not your typical prospect. I mean, that guy, he's going to succeed in whatever he decides he wants to do on or off the football field.
He's a great kid.
But like,
great man. I keep saying kid. I apologize.
Obviously Georgia has a track record in the state, has a track record in Florida. But when you start like this expansion, to be able to plug someone out of Texas of Bear Alexander's potential, I don't even want to say caliber yet, because like I'm seeing Georgia's name mean more out of state further than it ever has. And that's before I even begin talking about all these California guys that they've gotten recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where once you start building this program to where it is now, they're not on SEC Network every week. They're on ESPN every week and CBS every week. I mean, people, and like, I don't know, it's a different conversation than it was maybe even 10 years ago when SEC Network didn't exist and all that kind of stuff. But kids are seeing them now, and the coaches are getting out there. The staff does a great job in recruiting, obviously. And yeah, like Roddy said, they're number 1 in the team rankings. They still have, they got 21 commits, and the average star rating is 3.95. That's the highest I see on that list.
Yeah, Ohio State's right behind them at 3.94 average star rating.
The thing is, there's still so many guys like Jaheim Singletary, number 1 corner in the country. Georgia is in a very good spot with him. Kamari Wilson, one of the top safeties in the country. Georgia's in a great spot with him. This class isn't even, close to being done yet. Kristen Miller, another guy, 4-star defensive lineman. Georgia's in a very good spot with him. There's so many guys left that could join this class. And you think about all the stuff that's happened in the past 72 hours or whatever, but they're not done yet. There's still so much talent that could be added to this class. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. I'm pulling up your leaderboard. I'm not going to show everybody because that's behind the.
Yeah, I was doing that when Bear committed. I got a call from Roddy this morning. I thought it was going to be about, I don't know, 1 billion different other things. My phone wasn't getting alerts for whatever reason. I got a call. Hey, Roddy, what's up? Bear Alexander committed. I need you to write a story. I was like, what? Bear who? Like, Alexander? So, because like you said, Roddy, we had no idea this was coming today. I mean, like you told Ryan Wright, our national guy yesterday, he was going to sign in December and announce at the All-American Bowl. So like, okay, well, that's the Bear Alexander update we're going to have for a couple months, right? And then out of nowhere, it pops at 11 a.m. or whatever it was this morning. It's one of those wild things where you can just kind of go into scramble mode.
The added element of plucking someone from Texas is, we talk about this all the time, Roddy, is that when Georgia lost James Coley when he left after he was offensive coordinator, obviously he's got that pocket in South Florida, but
and that's when you stop signing wide receivers too. To go back to the point made earlier, you want to sign top wide receivers, James Coley's your man.
Well, James Coley is one of the best recruiters in the country. He connects with people on a really special level. Georgia has a lot of great recruiters. I'm not saying that they're lacking that at any certain position or whatever. But what I'm saying is when that guy on that staff in Texas in the SEC is there, and then they lose out on that guy in state, just reverse it, right? Imagine if at one of the high schools around Atlanta that you had this what you think is a can't miss defensive line prospect, and they went to Texas A&M. Think about how much that stings if you reverse the scenario.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's see. I'm going back to some of the guys that could still pop. You mentioned Jaheim Singletary, 5-star cornerback, number 1 in the nation. You said Kamari Wilson. Georgia would love him at safety. Shamar James, we mentioned him earlier on, out of Mobile. And somebody just asked, where's Jed? Jed, where are you?
I am in Mobile. Here, can I turn my camera around? I'm in Mobile. There's a certain inside linebacker I'm hopefully talking to in about 30 minutes.
What the hell are you doing down there?
Just bring him on the show.
On the show.
Yeah, go interrupt math class and get his butt on the show.
I messaged this kid about 4 different ways yesterday. I'm just lucky he texted me back, so I'm not gonna push my luck asking him to get on the show.
I know you're going to go here in a minute to
but yeah.
But
so
then, Ernest Green, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California. Christian Miller, who we think could be joining this class, he'd be the third one from Cedar Grove. But Julian Humphrey, he's committed to Florida, but this is a guy who could pick Georgia. He's been talking Georgia pretty strongly. He's from Houston, Texas. Travis Hunter. Wait till Travis Hunter flips and people lose their mind then.
Your phrasing there is going to send people to the vault.
I'm just saying that's a Georgia, that's a kid in the state of Georgia. So if you can land it, but again, that's if you're taking Georgia kids, they're like Mykel Williams. He's a top, it's a 5-star top player in the country.
Well, and we're talking about all these guys. We hadn't even mentioned yet. I mean, I think they're going to take one more receiver in this class, one way or another. So that's going to be maybe Shaz Preston, or do they renew for Andre Green, Coach and is it Antwi or Antwi? Does anyone know? I hear it both ways. Anyway,
but Andre Green's out of Richmond, Virginia. Mm-hmm. So,
I think they take one more receiver in this class, one way or another. So that's going to be another 4-star guy, joining this class at some point too.
The conversation right now, and is appropriate for the couple of days that have been, are Georgia's going to be losing a lot of people to the NFL draft because of this quality of season it's having. That's just the nature of the sport. So you're seeing a lot of guys that can come in and have opportunity to play right away. I don't cover recruiting on a daily basis like Jed and Trent and Blaine and Ben. So I yield to their expertise. I kind of get to know more about the players once they get on campus and kind of follow those narratives and storylines. The one that I'm really interested in, and Roddy, I'm sure your ear is already kind of open to this. As players get those opportunities and as teams do well, the recruiting pitch, as much for Georgia with players as superstars as it is, there's going to be some coaching recruiting that has to happen too. Yeah. Because if coaches are recruiting players at the level that they are now, Trey Scott's going to get offers to be a defensive coordinator or, hell, a head coach. Todd McGhee. Yeah, Todd Hartley, Del McGee.
The
whole staff is going to have opportunities if they want it. And Kirby Smart's going to have some tough decisions to make. And I don't know that money is necessarily the factor, but like there can be one head coach at Georgia. And I've asked in person twice to Dell McGhee, do you want to be a head coach one day? And it's like the quickest yes you've ever heard. He is not shy about saying that. Like that is a goal of his.
No, and people have come after him already. And they're going to come after him again. And they're coming after Lanning. They're going to come after Schumann. They're going to come after Todd Monken. It's you're going to have that. But if the way I know Kirby, he bakes that into the cake when he talks to these kids. You know, you get them to commit to the school. You get them to commit to the program. And it's like these kids know that he's not telling them, hey, your position coach could be gone by the end of the year. He's like, just know that we're going to do this. And then he's able to show, I had this guy that used to coach for me. His name's Mel Tucker. You may have heard of him. Might be the next coach at LSU.
Well, and then as you see, when coaches get fired,
got Arkansas,
then they come on home, right? So, like, Will Muschamp has obviously been an asset for Georgia this year. But, like, that's going to happen too. And maybe that's as much the credit. The fact that Alabama remains so darn good and has lost so many coaches. I mean, that's a testament to Nick Saban, but it's also a testament to, like, as much as we talk about coaching, players make plays, You can scheme up all you want to, but it's the players that make this stuff happen.
That's very true. Dwayne Smith was about to join us, but he needs to connect his microphone and cam before he does. So,
Dane Young is about to bail on you because I have a grad school group project. So, unless y'all want to join that,
no, man.
Oh, dude, no, hell, dude, I'll help you get an A.
It's some quantitative research methods.
I haven't been out of school 40 years like Rowdy has. I don't have the nostalgia yet.
Oh, damn, that's cold.
Well,
I was working on payroll. We will not. We know who not to pay this week. So
I would ask if I could have his paycheck, but he's the one in Mobile actually working.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more driving than actually working, but alas.
Enjoy, guys.
Hey, thanks. We appreciate that, Dane. See you later.
See you, Dane.
I like the fact that you met with Pierce Sperlin yesterday. So you're going to tell us who all the silent commits are, because I'm sure that guy knows all of them.
He does. I mean, that kid is a fountain of knowledge, and it was so cool because I talked to him. This wasn't part of my story I wrote, but I just talked to him and just his background. And he's Pierce Sperlin III, Pierce Sperlin Jr. and Senior, graduated from Georgia. He grew up a Georgia fan. I mean, he told me just, the memories he had of just crushing losses like every other Georgia fan has. And that kid.
What did he say about the Alabama game?
He said, we were talking about a potential SEC championship with Alabama or rematch, and he was like, I can't go again. I was at the national championship. I was at the SEC championship. I can't put myself through that again. I can't do it. So, I mean, that kid, he lives and breathes Georgia football. I mean, I asked him, he said something about recruiting rankings or something. And I was like, yeah, man, thanks for reading the site. He's like, dude, I'm a Georgia fan like everybody else. Like, I want to read the site. I want to know what's going on. So that kid he loves Georgia football. He was the first commit in this class. I mean, he committed last September in the middle of a pandemic as a sophomore in high school. And that kid, he still pulled the trigger and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, he loves Georgia. And I guarantee you he's going to, work hard and all that kind of stuff once he gets here to be the next Brock Bowers.
Wow. How much time do you have? Because I know you're supposed to be meeting with Shamar here in a bit.
I got
I'm going to add Dwayne Smith. We'll bring Dwayne on, and we'll also bring on William Kendrick in a minute. Dwayne, can you hear us? Dwayne, you have to unmute yourself there, buddy.
Hello?
Hello. Oh, we lost him. Well, let's try William.
Hello?
William!
Oh, hello, Dwayne. You all right? Oh, there goes Dwayne.
All right, we lost him. What's Williams on there too, and damn, lost him too. There's a Jed Jr. that wants on. We'll have to hit Jed Jr. up here in a second. Jed's our guy. Love it. We got people from across the pond trying to join the stream, which is awesome.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, or just with really bad phony accents. I'll take both. Wait, we had Llama apparently played high school ball with the Pierces.
Oh wow, small world.
Well, apparently clarified it. Played with Pierce Jr. as a year behind him.
Yeah, Pierce the third yesterday. He showed me a picture on his phone of him as a kid, and he had a number 8 jersey on. I was like, "Oh, cool, man, Terrence Edwards." He's like, "Nah, man, that's AJ Green." I was like, "Oh man, I'm old now."
You are old.
This
old.
Sucks.
And
this
still can't grow a beard.
all.
That's okay. No.
I can grow. It just doesn't come in.
Dude,
it doesn't come in good.
Puberty is going to be great for you. You're going to love it.
It is. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I think by the time it's over, I'll be like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, you probably heard some good things probably about it. So
yeah, it's a good time I hear.
I don't know what Mitch Davis wants to know. Will Freed go 6 innings tonight? I don't. He's got baseball in the brain. We all do. We're going to tune into that.
Yeah, we are.
Folks, I want to get back to what we're kind of supposed to be talking about. Give me your thoughts on Bear Alexander. You've seen the size of this guy. You've seen Mykel Williams. You went to talk with him. Kind of give me your closing thoughts here on both those guys.
Yeah. First on Bear, his rivals profile lists him at 6'4", 320. I don't know how updated that is. Whatever. Either way, he's a big dude, and that's what this class really needed, was one of those 3 big guys in the middle, whether it was Bear, Travis Shaw, or Walter Nolan. Just with Jordan Davis gone, Devontae Wyatt gone next year, I should say. They needed that guy, that big guy in the middle to complement Jalen Carter, and they got him. I mean, it's cut and dried, plain and simple. They got the next, in that line. Bear's a huge guy. He's obviously very athletic. He's a guy this coaching staff has wanted for a long time, being that he was committed, for a while, and decommitted over the summer.
What does that do for Sean Alexander, though?
Sean Washington?
John Washington. Yeah. See, I got Alexander stuck in my brain. Sean Washington, Bear Alexander.
Sean Alexander was great for the Seahawks 15 years.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. We've talked about this kind of in different ways throughout the week. It might come down to, if there's a couple scholarships left at the end of this class, it's like, okay, would we rather have, another defensive lineman in Sean Washington? Would we rather use it on another offensive lineman? I mean, it might come down to a best player available type situation with those last couple scholarships. I wouldn't say
they're going to keep taking defensive backs because they need to.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's over for Sean Washington, but I mean, obviously, when you add a guy like Bear Alexander at his position in front of him, the chances go down some. Kel Williams, obviously, everyone knows 5-star, but that seems like so long ago now, and it was yesterday, 24 hours ago. The coaches have sold him on. What really helped him was they were recruiting him as a defensive end. The pitch changed to be more of a jack outside linebacker. We'll see, I guess, how that evolves once he gets on campus, whether that actually sticks. He's told me the coaches see him as like an Adam Anderson, Trayvon Walker mix, body wise.
Wow,
physicality wise, he looks more like Trayvon Walker to me.
He does. He looks a lot like Trayvon Walker, body type.
Yeah. And obviously
that's 2 fast guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we were talking about with Dane, too. He's from Columbus. He loves Del McGhee. I talked to him the other day. And he's like, yeah, I spoke with Coach Lanning before the game. I was like, oh, did you get a chance to talk to Del McGhee? He's like, yeah, Del McGhee? Like, that's the first guy I went to. Got to talk to the Columbus guy. So, they never stop recruiting him. I think that's the thing. He recruits to USC, like, in the middle of June. And the staff, never gave up on him. They evolved their pitch. They sort of, I don't want to say just told him what he wanted to hear, but, they evolved what they were telling him, and over time it became more and more clear. Like you were saying, Roddy, you put in a hypothetical future cast for him on the vault probably last week or week before, and it paid off. He went on that official visit this past weekend, and that really seemed to seal the deal.
Yeah, I know he wanted to, and it's always bugged me. They've done it at a lot of these not award shows, but All-American games. They want to have a fun broadcast. They want to have excitement, and so they'll have these guys hold off, say, hey, look, make your announcement at the game, so that we can go between the first and second quarter, we can have you on. And I'm like, look, are you doing this for the kids, or are you doing this for you? Are you trying to if you really want to give them a giant platform to announce it on, hell, they go on UGA Sports, we'll put it on our YouTube page, it'll blow up, or they can do it on your stream at some All-American game. if they want to do it on TV, we'll put them on 11 Live. We'll put them on NBC. We can do that. We can blow them up. I just feel like sometimes this stuff's a little bit selfish, and these kids are basically they're holding out for that great big announcement, but like in their heart they know where they want to go, or they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then someone comes and takes their spot. Now that's not going to happen with a Mykel Williams or a Bear Alexander. Those spots would stay open. But if you're a guy who's kind of hemming and hawing, and you're not as high up on the charts, while you're deciding to wait until the Army All-American game or the Under Armour game or something like that, somebody might come in and take your spot. So I'm not saying that happened with Bear. Bear just
but you look at a guy like Christian Miller, right? I mean, Christian Miller's a guy that said too he's going to commit at the All-American game. Yep. But does that stay? Does he decide to pull the trigger before? I mean, sometimes
he's going to have to pull the trigger beforehand. I'm not saying that somebody else.
Who knows?
But the coaches want to know this. So look, the signing days, a couple weeks prior to that. So we need that signature. We need to know who we have, because you get down to what you're just talking about. Do we have any extra spots left? Can we take a Sean Washington? Well, is Christian Miller in the fold? He's not. He still hasn't made his decision. Hey, Sean, you want to come? All right, we'll take you.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's the same when it comes to I was looking at those list of let's say you get Kamari Wilson, let's say you get Jaheim Singletary, you got a couple defensive backs there, and now all of a sudden Julian Humphrey reaches out to you and says, I want to come. Like, okay. Do we have that extra spot? Now, if you've missed on Singletary or Kamari, then you've got an open spot in the DBs and you take them without question. But there are going to be some guys that are on the outside looking in the way this recruiting class is going. It's tearing up. All right, folks, we're going to have to wrap it up there. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you would share this with your friends, hit the subscribe button. I'd like to stick around longer, but I know Jed actually has to go to work because he's going to go talk to a former Florida commit who's looking at Georgia, who's retweeting everything Georgia puts out there. And we want to find out what the hell is going on. So Jed drove all the way from the sticks where he lives out to Mobile, and he's interviewed Pierce Spurlin on the way and is now going to interview Shamar James. So we will get the latest. So be sure to check out UGAsports.com later this afternoon. Tonight, when are you going to write a story?
As soon as I leave here, I passed a park on the way here. So we're gonna go post up
right
in the
park.
Actually,
God.
Actually, you know what? There's this. So I'm at. It's like I don't know if it's connected with a church or what, but there's a big church right next to here. So I'm actually going to go right there, I think.
And are you allowed to step foot in church?
I mean, I haven't checked in a while.
I mean, there's that holy water incident.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
I got the burns still. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right, everybody. Y'all take care. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hey, drive safe, Jed. Y'all take care.